All right, welcome back everyone. Today we're diving into a brand new explainer and we're looking at something literally keeping us going right this second. It's called Breathing Life, a Class 5 guide to human lungs. We're going to map out the core biology of how we breathe, and honestly, it's pretty fascinating stuff.
So, what do lungs do? It's the exact question a science teacher would throw at a buzzing 5th grade class to kick things off. Just pause for a second and think about it. It sounds so basic, right? But literally everything we do relies on the answer to this one simple question.
They help us breathe. Simple as that. It's the absolute core function of our respiratory system. Without that constant, rhythmic, in and out action, nothing else in the human body can happen. The whole shebang starts right here.
Meet your spongy lungs. So now that we've got their main job down, we really need to understand where they sit physically and, what they actually feel like inside our chest.
Okay, so we've got two lungs securely tucked inside the chest. But check out these physical traits. They are soft and spongy. They're not like rigid, flexed muscles or hard bones at all. They have this incredibly delicate, sponge-like structure. And that's exactly what lets them effortlessly expand and contract with every single breath you take.
Which naturally brings up a fantastic question, something a curious student would definitely ask. Are our lungs actually safe inside the ribcage? Because if they're so soft and spongy, aren't they super vulnerable just sitting right there in our chest?
Well, the answer is a resounding yes. They are absolutely protected by our ribs. You can think of your ribcage as this sturdy, bony shield. It wraps completely around those delicate organs to keep them safe from any impacts, but still gives them plenty of room to expand when they fill up with air.
All right, moving on to inside the respiratory system. We are going to shift gears here from the big picture view of the chest and zoom in a bit. Let's look at the specific interconnected parts that actually make breathing happen.
First up, we have the right lung and the left lung. But the crucial pathways connecting everything together are the bronchi, which are also known as your air tubes. These are basically the essential highways of your chest. They channel all the air you just breathed in right down deep into the lung tissue. Okay, let's dive into this next part. Before the air even reaches those bronchi highways, it has to travel through the trachea, which you probably know as the windpipe. This main tube runs from your mouth and nose and acts like a central funnel, making sure all that vital air gets directed exactly where it needs to go.
But the real biological magic happens at the very end of the line. There's this wonderful realization from a student in our source material that just hits the nail on the head. The alveoli are very tiny but very important. We're traveling all the way down to the microscopic level now.
So what exactly are alveoli? Well, they're tiny air sacs. Try to imagine millions of microscopic balloons sitting at the very ends of your air tubes. They are unbelievably small, but because you have literally millions of them, they create this massive surface area. And that surface area is where the lungs do their most critical work.
And what is that highly important work? It's the oxygen-energy exchange. This is where we transition from what the lungs are to how they actually function. Because it's not just about moving air around. There is a vital chemical trade happening constantly inside those alveoli.
And this brilliantly illustrates how it works. It's a dual action. When we breathe in, we're taking in the oxygen our body so desperately needs. But on the flip side, when we breathe out, we are actively removing carbon dioxide. That's a waste gas our body absolutely has to get rid of. It is just a perfect, continuous cycle of supply and exhaust.
So why is getting that incoming gas so absolutely crucial? Because oxygen gives our body energy. That is the fundamental takeaway of human respiration right there. The oxygen that gets transferred through your alveoli travels out to every single cell to create the energy you need to walk, to talk, to think, literally just to exist.
Keeping your lungs healthy. Once you realize just how important they are for our energy, it makes total sense that we'd want to protect them. These spongy organs are working continuously for us nonstop, so we definitely have a responsibility to maintain them. And maintaining them really comes down to just a few straightforward habits. First, exercise regularly. That keeps your respiratory muscles nice and strong. Second, breathe fresh air whenever you can, giving your lungs the cleanest fuel possible. Third, never smoke. That is absolutely paramount if you want to protect those delicate alveoli from permanent damage. And fourth, eat healthy food to give your entire respiratory system the nutrients it needs to thrive.
It really all comes together in this one summarizing thought, which was shouted in enthusiastic unison by the classroom in our source material. Healthy lungs help us live a healthy life. It's so true. The health of your respiratory system directly dictates the vitality of your entire life experience.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to think about. How will you care for your spongy organs today? Are you going to go for a brisk walk in the fresh air? Maybe do some focused, deep breathing exercises. The foundational science is crystal clear, but the daily choice is totally yours. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep learning.